Let me try and find out.
Because I know that we didn't show this article, which I actually wanted to show this article because it's essentially parroting the same framing that we've been telling everyone about. But this is the Axios article, which says Axios.
Fucking Democrat Party fucking neolib fucking porn for intellectuals.
AXIOS. Top meat supplier is the latest victim of a cyber attack. Now, major meat supplier was the latest victim of an organized cybersecurity attack, said the company on Sunday. Why it matters. JBS, the largest producer of beef in the country. And so this is what they pair it with. Last month, Colonial Pipeline was taken offline by its operator because of a cyber attack. In March, a cyber espionage unit backed by the Chinese government resulted in 30K US victims, including many small businesses and local governments. And then here's one that really slipped under the radar. Earlier this year, the US intelligence community assessed that Russia was responsible for the major SolarWinds attack. 9 federal agencies and more than 100 private sector groups were compromised in the attack, per The Hill. Microsoft disclosed last Thursday that the same Russian hackers behind the SolarWinds breach had launched a new wave of cyber attacks. The company is not aware of any evidence at this time that any customer, supplier, or employee data has been compromised or misused as a result of the situation, JBS USA said in a statement of the press. And then real quick, I also have something else to go with that, which was
me too, for sure. Because it happened Monday, so we actually haven't been able to do this.
Yeah. And then I have what's her face? Jen Pasak Hunt. Her statement on it. Oops, let me remember to share audio.
I can assure you that we are raising this through highest levels of the U.S. government. It will be a topic of discussion and direct one-on-one discussions, or direct discussions with President Putin and President Biden happening in just a couple of weeks. And certainly protecting our own infrastructure in the United States is of utmost national security importance.
So basically it's, well, and we'll go deeper into this too, but I mean, just to put out the preliminary statement on that, basically it's what we've been talking about, where a lot of these large scale infrastructure attacks are going to provide cover for just amping up the national security state via aggression towards Russia and China, and also increasing, security, and that gets into those ransomware reports and whatnot. And then it also gives way for the fourth industrial revolution, because look at what was just hacked, one of the major pipelines in the country, and then one of the biggest meat producers in the country. Now, I'm not a fan of oil and gas, but I know the fourth industrial revolution agenda, so I can tell where this is heading. So, and yeah, and then the way they tied it in with the SolarWinds hack as well was something I didn't see brought up too much with the Colonial Pipeline hack, but that's interesting the way that they frame it with that.
Well, they have to blame it on an outside party, whether it's a nation state or a group of actors inside a nation state. But the overarching themes are ransomware, industrial grid or supply chain. And in case, like, just to sort of set up the whole thing, on Monday it was announced that the world's largest meat processing company, JBS Foods, fallen victim to cyber attacks that have shut down production around the world, including in Australia. 47 factories across Australia, meat processing facilities in North and South America, Brazil, and Canada. They are back up as of last night, I saw. But if it's only short term, a day's processing loss isn't going to make that much of a difference. It did. Already froze meat deliveries in a number of places, affecting restaurants and small grocery stores, including the one that I have. This is the second time in a couple of weeks that they haven't been able to have a couple of different kinds of beef. Quoting recent JBS data, Mr. Condon said the company employed 6,687 beef and sheep processors around Australia. It is these workers at the Australian Meat Industry Employees Union Queensland Secretary Matt Journo was concerned about if the shutdown occurred. So I mean, this has like very, very, very far-reaching effects when the supply chain is fucked with. And when the supply chain is fucked with, it seems, well, in line with every single prediction that both the World Economic Forum and the Department of Homeland Security have been making.
And before we get more into the ties with the World Economic Forum, we did get a super chat from resident wizard Rob Juno. He says, Josh coffee contribution. Sorry I'm late. It's all good, Rob. You're right on time. Thanks for being the best neurotherapy in the world. Aw. Slow news day in chat. Heart and fist. Thanks so much, Rob. We love you because it's always appreciated on Slow News Day.
It's true. It's true. So big shout out to Tim Hinchcliffe, who I did not know is the contributor editor of .com. Ransomware attack on world's largest meat packer comes 6 weeks after JBS acquires plant-based food group Vivera for $530 million. It's a great image. So let's get into a nice little quote from Klaus. We all know, but still pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospital services, our society as a whole.
What if Russia turned off heat in the middle of winter in Fargo, North Dakota?
Yeah. So, according to multiple reports, Brazil's JBS SA has informed the U.S. government that a ransomware attack against the company has disrupted meat production in North America and Australia, originated from a criminal organization likely based in Russia. Ransomware coming from Eastern Europe has also been attributed to the Colonial Pipeline attack in the U.S. and the cyber attack on Ireland's Health Service executive, both occurring in May. Due to yesterday's ransomware attack, JBS has stopped livestock slaughter at its plants in several U.S. states. Klaus, you will eat much less meat. An occasional treat, hashtag unintentional rhyme, not a staple, for the good of the environment and for our health.
I'm really surprised you didn't say that in your Klaus impression.
I'm trying not to overplay that. Trying to back off a little bit. A little over a month prior to yesterday's ransomware attack on the world's biggest meat packer, JBS acquired Europe's third largest plant-based food producer, Vivera, for a sum of 341 million euros, according to a press release from the Netherlands-based Vivera Food Group published on April 19th, 2021. JBS, which specializes in meat packing and is a partner of the World Economic Forum, has entered the plant-based food space, which will allow the company to produce both alternatives and traditional protein products. The WEF white paper on alternative proteins in 2019, which you got, well, if you guys want, I'll grab the link and throw it in the chat or two. Alternative proteins involve purely plant-based alternative products based on insects and other novel protein sources, and the application of cutting-edge biotechnology to develop cultured meat, according to the WF's white paper on alternatives proteins published in January 2019. The WF white paper adds innovation and traceability in labeling for both alternative and traditional protein products involving distributed ledgers and embedded microchips present exciting opportunities to improve transparency and communicate to consumers the multiple impacts of different food types. That sounds gross. For over a year, the WF has been anticipating what it calls a cyber pandemic, and the globalist think tank will stage a simulated supply chain attack simulation on July 9th. That's Cyber Polygon. We've talked about it. We've covered it. We covered it last year. We'll cover it again this year. I'm going to play a little bit of Klaus here.
Aw.
And then we'll pause for a moment and take it off of this shit show. Not going to play all of it. It's 11 minutes.
But still, pain risks outlook. The third greatest concern for companies surveyed is the increase of cyber attacks. We all know, but still pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring to a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospital services, our society as a whole. The COVID-19 crisis would be seen in this respect as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber attack.
Sometimes I think it's bait, just how much of a Nazi he sounds like.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if we have to add any commentary for that when Klaus just spelled it out for us.
I mean, it's pretty, yeah. If you're going to seed the narrative, you know, make sure that you punch it up when it's time to drive home the point. To that point, we did kind of go through a couple of weeks ago the fact that that Biden signed an executive order charting new course to improve the nation's cybersecurity and protect federal government networks. There's going to be a huge push in not just cybersecurity funding, but new agencies or the buildup of existing agencies. We're going to grow the size of not just government and not just law enforcement, but digital government and digital law enforcement. And that only means less rights in not only the digital space, but in the physical space. For a quote unquote cyber pandemic that these fucks have been predicting for 2.5 years now, that they seem to be wholly unprepared for. My God, we've got to do something about this upcoming, impending, we can see it coming a mile away cyber pandemic. Nah.
Like that, like how they had Event 201 and they had a whole Event 201 and we're still wholly unprepared for coronavirus.
Cyber Polygon. Or not Cyber Polygon, what was it? Crimson Contagion. Lockstep. These scenarios, these gaming exercises have been running, at least in terms of introducing the post-pandemic police state, for 20 years. So when you start to think about that, then it starts to make a lot more sense that yes, as a matter of fact, these folks were prepared. We'll touch on the Fauci emails probably tomorrow when Greg's on. I think that might be fun. One of the OGs from Anonymous back.
I see what you're trying to do there, Steve.
Go through the Fauci emails with. It seems like it'd be, his lane.